Welcome to Bad Storytellers, a podcast about a small writing group in Titusville, Florida. I'm your host, Josh LaForge, and with me today is Liam Malone.
Holla.
And Doug Banks.
Hello.
Max Wessel is normally here with us today, but he's absent because he is sick.
With the plague.
Mm-hmm. And I may sound a little different because I was sick, so if I sound a bit sexier, I'm sorry.
And I may sound a little
sorry.
different because I've become a castrati.
It's beautiful. You have a beautiful voice now. So we typically start by discussing the media we've consumed in the time between this and our last meeting, and then we move on to our own writing samples for criticism and critique among the group of us. But at the end of each episode, we roll the dice and workshop an idea for what could be a film, and then we record the trailer for it. All right, we got 2 retractions this week.
Only 2?
Yeah, only 2. So the book I talked about, Sundiver, is not about dolphins. It's about the humans of the Uplift universe actually taking a craft to the interior of their sun.
Okay.
So a pretty apt name.
That sounds pretty baller.
Sundiver.
The interior of the sun?
I checked out the Amazon reviews. It turns out it's a murder mystery. Like they do that, but it's also a murder mystery.
So it's like
That's actually really... I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
so
I
it's
haven't-
like sunshine, but with
But a murder
But there's also
mystery.
aliens inside of the sun.
so it's sunshine meets the core.
Meets Murder on the Orient Express.
I have no idea. I just know that there's a murder mystery, and they're going to the interior of the sun to meet some aliens.
Dope.
Also, other festivals that December 25th was known as before Christmas were also, we named a few, but the ones we did not were also Saturnalia and the birthday of Mithra.
Those are even barely corrections.
Yeah, barely.
Barely.
So Liam, what did you consume?
I went on a Netflix binge. I watched Pumping Iron,
It's a great film.
which is a story of mostly Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger vying for the Olympiad?
Or is it Mr.
Mr.
Olympia.
Yeah.
It's great. Talks about bodybuilding a lot. It's really cool. Good story.
Even
Totally worth
if you don't
watching.
like bodybuilding, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie. Like and Arnold Schwarzenegger says some of his classic lines that you never, I don't know, you never
And-
expect someone like him to
And
say.
at the very end, he smokes a J and eats fried chicken. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you seen him on that episode of Dragnet?
No.
Arnold, didn't we see this, Josh?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
clip of Arnold on
Jeez,
Dragnet.
I forgot about
It's
that.
crazy because he's playing like a bodybuilder who accidentally I don't think he kills her.
Or like accidentally really hurts a lady.
Yeah, he accidentally really hurts this girl because she laughs at him. Like he
When he does this posing.
It's like he goes to this girl's apartment and she's like, oh, you're so muscular, just like fawning over
Well,
him.
she's not even like into it, right? Like she's like
Well, that's-
oh, she's a journalist. That's
Is
what
it?
it is. She's a journalist, and she's like,
because there was a tension there. There was like she was into it a little bit.
She's into him a little bit because he's
Yeah.
interesting and he's foreign.
And then
but like,
she's like, "Why don't you take your shirt off so we could see?" And this is in the privacy of her home, so he's like, "Yeah, sure."
do you want to see my
my muscles? And he takes his shirt off and he's just like flexing. She goes, "Show me some flexes that you do." And he starts flexing like a bodybuilder.
Well, first he like greases up.
Yeah, he's like, well, because he shows her, because she's like,
Yeah.
show me the routine or whatever. And I was picking up like that she was into it. She wants to see,
Well,
like,
she's not really taking it seriously, but,
Right,
But
but-
she does want to know more about
anyway.
him.
So he greases up. He's just doing it serious. Like this is what
This is how you do it.
And he
This is
starts-
my job.
Yeah,
Here I go.
Yeah, and he starts pulling the poses, and she starts giggling. He's like, "It's not funny. Stop it!" And she just keeps like she cannot stop laughing. She has been laughing fit. And finally, he just grabs her by like the shoulder. He's like, "Stop!" And he shakes her and he throws her like
You're
into a
just
lamp.
like everyone else.
Yeah, and he throws her into like a standing lamp, and he like leaves the apartment, and it's just like she like stays there like knocked out or something, and then it leads to bum, like the cops are gonna come and take care of it. But I want to see that whole episode. But that scene was so awkward from start to end. It just gets more awkward the longer you watch it. You keep
I'm gonna
thinking,
try to find. I'm gonna
Yeah.
link to that in the show notes. I'll try to embed that video.
And then the other thing I watched was Turbo Kid, which I really, really enjoyed
I've heard that was
watching.
good.
It's a lot like Kung Fury, in which it's like overly gory, really based on the 80s.
But has a plot, right? Unlike
There is a
Kung
plot. Michael Ironsides is in it, which tells you everything about this movie.
Fury? Okay.
And it's
that he's the bad guy.
that he's the bad guy.
That he's a one-eyed bad guy.
That he's a one-eyed bad guy. It's Waterworld with bikes, but I the whole thing is, despite what other people think, I really like Waterworld a lot.
I liked
I
it
enjoyed
too.
it. Yeah.
I enjoy Waterworld.
Especially that guy that was like,
Holy shit! It is Waterworld. You
It's
didn't get the
water-
one-eyed bad guy, and it's about water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit.
It's Waterworld.
I just love that guy from Waterworld that was like, real paper,
Yeah.
real paper.
Yeah. But it's super fun. It's really self-aware, gory beyond. And it's just ridiculously gory and amazing.
Like Shaun of the
I love
Dead
it.
gory.
Yeah, there's blood
Cartoon,
and everything.
complete-
Yeah,
it's a
cartoony
complete
gore.
cartoon,
Yeah. one of the things they do is the guy who's
It's like an itchy and scratchy cartoon.
but the guy who's set
in.
up to be the hero, and the way he like instills justice is by arm wrestling, and they arm wrestle above like branding irons.
Like they put like
That's awesome.
coiled. They put like a
Yeah.
coat hanger, coil it up into a shape that looks like something, and they put the end of the coat hanger into a toaster oven, so it heats up the entire thing.
Yeah.
There's
And then
one on
just
each side.
arm wrestling.
Yeah, and
Who
whoever
thought that up?
loses-
Crenshaw Pete?
Oh, it's so cool.
Whoever loses gets the brand on their hand.
Oh,
Nice.
It's great. And then the last big thing that I did is I rewatched Galaxy Quest, and I forgot how much I just love that movie.
It's an amazing American film.
It's one of and it. Whenever I watch it, it also immediately reminds me of Mystery Men, of movies where that are completely self-aware of the thing they're making fun of, do it incredibly well, and when I bring it up, no one who now likes Star Trek or superhero movies have ever seen it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, no. I mean, if they liked superhero movies and superheroes, then you definitely saw Mystery Men.
Right.
But I think that's just because you're trying to date outside your age group.
No. I'm just saying, like, well, also there's tons of people who are like, oh, I like Spider-Man now. He's like, why? He's like, the movies. I'm like, I don't understand that.
But that's okay. That's
Oh no, you get
that's
to do that, but the whole
yeah.
thing is then they missed Mystery Men. They didn't get to see it. It wasn't on
Mystery
the radar.
Men was maybe 10 years ahead of its time, not in terms of what it was trying to say, but just the fact that the world wasn't ready for making fun of heroes. Because
you need to know all the tropes before it's funny.
And now all those tropes have found their ways into a movie.
Into everything.
Yeah. So it's due for a rewatch, I think.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And I also feel the same way about Galaxy Quest. My problem is people didn't understand the conceit of making fun of Star Trek. That was popular enough to do and have it make sense. But the idea that there was a show and they're making fun of a show that is sort of like Star Trek. Like there's too many meta
It
layers.
makes
I
fun
think
of
it's- I think it's
and
had a-
pays tribute to at
Yeah,
the same
I
time.
think it's had a recent resurgence because of the
Alan
huge. Well, I mean, even before he died, but because of the huge amount of nerd culture now that wasn't around even 10 years previously. Like Comic-Con is bananas
Yeah.
now, and
You
that
used to
movie,
be in a basement at a Radisson.
right,
Like,
exactly,
you know.
and that's what that movie is about.
about.
It's about that Comic-Con fan culture.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's even a deeper level where like the idea of having a 3-layer narrative where there are 3 layers of reality.
Yeah.
Where like there's the show, there's the people who are making
The
the
actors
show,
of the show, yeah.
and then there's this crazy
reality,
where in fact someone made everything real. I don't think people were ready for that yet. The narrative
it did
complexity.
good when it came out, but I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
The more time that passes, the more relevant that movie becomes.
Yes.
I'll tell you why I wasn't ready for Mystery Men, because when I saw it, like I enjoyed a lot of it, but as a kid, like I saw it and I walked away, it had a lot of problems with it. Like, wait a minute, Captain Amazing was kind of a jerk. What's the point of that? And then he's dead? Like he's really dead? What the fuck? Because back then, superhero movies were still kind of new.
Yeah.
Like this is before
Yeah.
Spider-Man, so it's like you wanted to see a superhero movie. This is the anti-superhero movie that was again ahead of its time. Like if I were watching
The only
it now,
one
it'd be
the only
funny.
one you sympathize with is the shoveler.
Yeah, because he's just like a stand-up dude. But you get, I think
And
it's
Mr. Volcano, isn't that his name?
Mr. Furious.
Mr. Furious.
Yeah, Mr. Furious.
Sorry, yeah, he's ridiculous. Like he's the worst one out of all of them.
The Blue Raja is amazing.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
oh,
Hank
he's-
Azaria.
Yeah.
To begin with, the fact that Hank Azaria has been so steeped in Simpsons has, I think, robbed us of a lot of good movies he could have been in.
I don't know,
Everyone
man.
that he is in
Is
is good.
a
It's
knockout.
like he does great.
He blows me away in the Birdcage.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
no,
good.
no, it's like
It's so good. But that's what I'm
he's
saying.
what
Like,
made Robin Williams and Nathan Lane crack up, and Gene Hackman. Like it's like, what was your funniest moments on that? It's never Robin Williams or Nathan Lane.
oh,
It's
they're like-
always Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria.
And Gene Hackman.
and Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Anything else?
I know I read stuff, but I can't remember it at the moment.
Good.
So I will get back to you on that. But
Okay.
I figured 3 things. We
Yeah.
talked about it enough.
Yeah,
it's
sure,
good.
sure. What about you, Doug?
I also saw Turbo Kid, and I liked it.
I got to get on this bandwagon.
No, I really did not like Kung Fury.
I didn't either.
Yeah, thank you, because you're the only person I've talked to.
I loved the scene where the 2 Nazis are arguing about their mustaches.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, but that was like Key and Peele had a better Nazi joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
but no, I mean, I think that's also a good one.
But
I like
like,
that one. It's
I-
like your mustache looks like a piece of shit.
I've been debating, not even debating, just arguing with people who like defend Kung Fury as like this. It's so great, and I'm like, no, dude, it's stupid, and here's why. Blah 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 blah.
and that relates to our topic a little bit.
yeah, no, we'll get into that. No, that's a great example. It's a great example. But I was excited for Kung Fury because I saw the Kickstarter thing and I'm like, oh, I want to get behind this or whatever. Anyway, so Kung Fury, I don't like it for reasons we can go into later. But people recommending Turbo Kid. I'm like, this looks a lot like Kung Fury, trying to hop on the Kung Fury bandwagon. It's not Kung Fury. This is like everything that I disliked about Kung Fury, they did well in Turbo Kid.
So Turbo Kid is more like, okay, so Kung Fury is like a collection of tropes made into a bunch
just
of little
joke.
scenes.
It's a bunch of Family Guy cutaway jokes.
They're memes.
Yeah.
Right.
Essentially.
Whereas Turbo Kid is like somebody
Narrative through line.
was like,
Yeah.
I loved all those tropes. How do I make that into a movie?
Well, they had a story and a world, and they said, how do I up the ante by making it fit these tropes, as opposed to like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
okay,
it's standard sci-fi post-apocalyptic story of a hero. Kid becomes a hero,
but with a really good humor.
Yeah.
Lots of good characters that aren't really fully developed, but you don't need them to be.
Yeah, the people who made it gave a shit. Like, it's not gonna win any awards. The characters are, two-dimensional and everything, but that's the kind of movie it is. It's an enjoyable film. It's very gory, like an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, where the gore is the joke.
Yeah.
It's not just being gory because it's trying to be a Grindhouse knockoff. I enjoy that.
It's almost a contrast with how innocent and lovable everyone is in it. And then then they just do horrible things.
All right.
Where like the girl,
Apple.
she annoyed me. She annoyed me for about the first,
yeah, like the
first 5 minutes, and then after the first 5 minutes,
fell in
I was
love
like,
with her.
it was me
Yeah.
like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you're the best,
Yeah.
because you're the only person out here. Like everyone was like, oh, I'm kind of cynical, and the world's over, and she's like, we're just gonna hang out, and everything's gonna be great.
I thought she was gonna be like that manic pixie dream girl bullshit thing.
but she's just 100% optimist all the time.
Oh yeah, just 100%, and just like
like
is
how bad could
genuine.
things
It's
could be?
just
We're
like
together.
Yeah, she's childish, but like not underhanded, like not childish where it's like selfish. It's like completely generous and completely optimistic the entire time.
Like happily naive kind of thing.
Not
but
even-
stays that way.
The whole thing is
not
she's-
even naive.
She's not even naive. Like everyone else is like complaining about how terrible things are.
Yeah,
and
they're
she's
like-
just like, we're just gonna get through this.
They're in a situation where like they're about to die, and they're like, she's like, what do we do? And he's like, okay, we're gonna have to strike first, strike hard, got it, and immediately, just like they're trying to make a plan, and she just immediately runs out of the huddle and starts beating this dude to death, and they're just like, okay, I guess the fight began, and they just start following her lead. So she's she's team hero 100%.
Reminds me of Sour Fang the Younger.
If the apocalypse happens, you need someone like her on your team, regardless.
Oh yeah, just purely for morale.
Yeah, but so other than Turbo Kid, I started rewatching episodes of Twilight Zone to sort of just get through, because like I grew up watching a lot of it, but I've never seen all of them. And I saw one. I got the name of this one here, so you don't have to do a retraction. In season 1, episode 36, A World of His Own. This one I wanted to bring up because I've seen like several, but this one particularly because it's about a writer who's like a playwright. And the story, I won't give away anything, but the story is that he discovers that if he records, like he dictates his notes into a tape recorder, or he can write it in his typewriter. But when he does this, if he can get really specific when he dictates notes about a character or something happening, it comes to life. Like it actually happens. And he he gets in a little bit of trouble with the wife, let's say.
Oh, geez,
but it's great. It's all like one of the, what do we say, like a bottle story where it's all in this dude's office.
Episode, yeah.
The whole episode is in this dude's office where the wife comes home and she's like, she saw him with a girl, but as soon as she opens the door, comes in, the girl's gone.
Oh.
And she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, honey, I think it's time I told you something crazy is happening. And he starts to explain. Of course, she doesn't believe him. And then he starts.
She's like, what the fuck are you trying to sell me?
So yeah, but it's for real. Like he can actually do this, and where it goes is great, and says a lot about creativity and stuff. So I recommend checking it out, especially for you guys. But anxious to hear what you guys have to say because I don't want to spoil it. But it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
I think that's pretty much most of it. Haven't had a lot of time other than that. I was trying to squeeze in all that after work.
True. As for me, I read the second in the Uplift series. It's I talked to you guys about this last week. It's about a ship that crashes on a planet. It's in the Uplift universe, so it's humans with a crew of sentient dolphins. And it's like a crazy space war is happening up above the planet, and the way the planet is affecting these dolphins, some of them are genetic experiments because the humans are the ones that have turned them into sentient beings. So like one of them has orca DNA spliced into him, and that starts coming out when he's there, and like there's all this crazy stuff that happens.
Like he's gone native or whatever. Like,
yeah, but crazier. And they're like, you're going crazy, and he's like, do I sound crazy?
And then everyone's like, yes, you do.
Well, when
I
dolphins
wanna
go
read
crazy,
these.
they switch into primal, which is a different speak. It's different language. And he's speaking Anglic, which is not primal. So he's like, I am not crazy. If I was crazy, would I be speaking so clearly? And they're like, okay. Like, no, it's pretty good, though. There's a lot about dolphin physiology in it. There's a lot about dolphin sex. Like,
All right, maybe I don't want to read it.
no, I say that, and I'm like, there's parts where they're just talking about dolphin sex and like how dolphin sex works. And I'm like, is this, you know what? You couldn't jerk off to this.
Someone might.
No, because it's too clinical. Like it's from a very
zoological.
Objective standpoint.
Biological.
Is it necessary?
You know, I don't know.
Because we were talking about sex scenes in books before. Is it as
there
necessary?
There are no sex scenes in this book.
But is talking about it, is that as necessary as some sex scenes?
Well, it explains a lot of the relationships between people. And like when I say people, I'm including dolphins because they're sentient in this book. It explains a lot of like tension that happens between them and like what they plan on doing and like why they're acting the way they're acting. So I think it might be necessary.
Because if they weren't dolphins,
I'm making it sound like it's gratuitous. It's not. It's just like
it's treating like if they were an alien species and you just had to explain.
But it's also very matter of fact. Like he'd be like, and then when he was this old, he discovered this thing and he hadn't stopped masturbating since. So. Yes, but he couldn't do that now, and now he was frustrated, and there was this, but he knew it was a weird affectation, or knew it was a weird thing that was not accepted in polite society, so he kept it buried, and like that kind of thing.
I guess maybe
there's no sex scenes; it's just stuff like that.
Okay,
well, because
the author talks about like how their mental state works and how it's different from humans for sex, and like there's a lot of human relationships, and there's a lot of vagaries that you immediately understand with the way that they talk to each other. Because we're human.
Yeah.
So he has to kind of go into more detail with the dolphins.
I just assume that maybe it's because the author knew that dolphins are one of the only other animals that has sex for pleasure. So it's
I don't
like
think
something
that's
how
true.
humans tie with it.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying like that's a common like.
That is a trope. Yeah.
Trope,
trope,
you know?
yeah.
Just like people only use 10% of their brains.
Yeah.
Trope. That you hear that and you're like, oh, they're the only other species that has sex for pleasure, and you're like, you sure? Because that sounds like bullshit.
The book's good, and I recommend it. But one of the things I find interesting about the book is that one of my favorite characters is not really a good guy. He's kind of a mad scientist, but he's a chimpanzee. He's the only chimpanzee on the ship.
Sounds like your favorite character.
Yeah. and I say mad scientist, but it's just he's not mad. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else. He's just like, oh, cool, my experiment will happen. Like, hey, well, the captain's been injured. He may not survive. He's like, oh, well, okay, well, then get this other guy on it. I'm going to get that. And they're like, our captain, like the guy we all love, has been injured. And he's like, yes, okay, understood. So tomorrow then, right, I get to put these bombs in the crust so we can measure the planetary waves. And they're like, no. He's like, I got to find my way onto a ship so I can go do that because I really need to complete my research. But he doesn't. He's just obsessed. He's an obsessive chimpanzee mad scientist, and I love him. He's not he's not a good guy either.
The next book you should write is Obsessive Chimpanzee Mad Scientist. I'd read that.
It's already written. That's the book I just read.
No, just that.
Yeah, maybe. Call it Mojo Jojo.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also watched more Deep Space Nine, which is good.
Getting there for you?
Well, I think that's the first time you said Deep Space Nine, which is good.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting a lot better. Especially
you still haven't hit Worf?
No, not until Worf is until season 4. I'll tell you.
All right.
I'll tell you when I get to Worf. Worf is my favorite on Next Gen, so yeah, I'll be happy when I get to him. But yeah, that was it for me.
I'm gonna start rewatching Deep Space Nine, and I'm gonna start at season 4, and I'm just gonna make my best of Worf.
No, if you don't understand why it's such a slog, you should start at the beginning.
No, the whole thing is I've done it.
Yeah,
it's done it a lot,
and you don't remember it. It must be like childbirth.
I do.
Must be like childbirth.
I remember.
How
the whole
bad
thing
it
is, I'm more forgiving of it, and I also just like deeply love O'Brien.
Yeah, well,
so much.
Next
You
Generation
would.
got much better, much faster than
that's true.
Deep Space Nine. So our topic for this week, before we get on to our critique and criticism of our work, is cynicism and snobbery. And we're all writers and consumers of media. We have all been cynical snobs. And I think we all
Some
agree.
of us still are.
Yeah, I think we all.
I definitely am.
I think we all agree that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
music, I think with music more for me than movies, but like I can be bad.
There's no good reason to be a cynical snob. Like there isn't, right? Like I mean, it'll save you some time, but the bad attitude that comes with it is generally shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you're right,
Yeah,
bad things happen.
you might as well just be optimistic because you could be wrong, and it doesn't hurt anybody. If you're wrong.
Occasionally it does crush me, like
To be
optimism.
wrong?
No, the optimism of like this is gonna be good.
Oh, and then
I'm gonna
the
spend my
letdown.
money on this, and I'm like, I've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
I think it's more.
you know what they
it's
say
more
that-
like shame.
Expectation is the enemy of delight,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know who said that. That'll be a retraction. I'll find out who said that, and we'll have it next week. But
Well, if you don't allow yourself to get excited for something, what the hell's the point?
I think you can get excited for things, but like expectations are different than being like, oh, this might be fun. Hey, let's go do a fun thing.
We're like, this has to be good, or
Is
else
it,
I'll die.
okay? Is it better to get excited for something, or just to be kind of like,
or to be surprised,
or to be happy that you're going to go do something, and then if it's good, you get surprised, and it's even better.
Depends, because like something that you have expectations on based on previous existing stuff. For example, like the next installment of Star Wars.
Okay.
I have an expectation of. I don't try to place expectation of the story better explain who Rey's parents are. I don't give a shit about that. I just want the movie to entertain me. I have an expectation that I will be entertained.
I think that's not cynicism or snobbery.
No. Right.
I think no. Cynicism is
That's being a
generally
consumer.
yes. Cynicism is generally when you're like, well, it's not going to be good, or that probably sucks,
well, like how a lot of
or it's going to suck.
well, like
know?
a lot of people there's a lot of backlash about the new Ghostbusters movie, and
Yeah. There's a good example. Yeah.
that's a hot button topic, for a lot of people. And at first when I'd heard that they were rebooting it, I'm just like, oh no, a reboot. And then it was like, oh, and it's all women. Well, I guess what, that doesn't really matter. And then you know what, a reboot is like. That doesn't matter either. What am I excited about? As soon as I took 2 seconds to think about it, I'm like, oh, I'm not actually mad at all. I'm actually totally fine with this. And in fact, I prefer the fact that it's a reboot because you know what? If it ends up not being that good, it's got nothing to do with the other
Yep.
films.
It's
and if it's great,
non-canonical.
and if it's great, then it's a new film, So
Yeah.
who cares?
I was like, oh man, they're doing an all-female one. I'm like, oh, this will be bad. And they're all comedians. Go on.
And they're all from SNL.
With SNL pedigrees. And I was like, oh.
See, when people say it's like, oh, it's going to be bad because it's all female, it's not bad because they're all female. They think it's bad because they think that's a sign of pandering.
Yeah.
I agree,
And I understand
I really, it makes me cringe whenever I think I'm being pandered to,
Right.
and when I think something is being made to pander to somebody else.
Yeah.
It makes me cringe. I don't think that's cynicism, though. Like I think the movie still has every possibility to be good.
Yeah.
It's just when you say that. Like, oh, we're gonna do an all-female version. That's not an artistic choice. Like you're literally saying
That's
like
a marketing choice.
yeah, it's just a marketing
But
choice.
when they say that, okay, we're getting actual comedians to do it, and Paul Feig, I mean, I've had
Wait,
mixed,
I
results.
I hope it's great.
Yeah, and he did.
The women they picked are fantastic.
Yeah, what was the sci-fi show that
Kristen
Paul Feig just
Wiig,
did on
sometimes really good.
Yahoo?
Kate McKinnon is killing it
Yeah.
now.
But either way, it's like everyone has a proven track record of doing at least one thing funny.
Yeah.
So that deserves a chance, So,
Absolutely.
So I'm actually looking forward to it. But if there's other things like the next Transformers movie, you know what? Is it cynical for me to say, you know what? The last 4 Transformers movies were
No.
kind of bad.
No, I don't think so.
That's a good
because
question.
yeah.
Well, hey,
I don't.
let's go through. Okay, let's go through examples here. What was the last time you were cynical and then you were like, oh man, I shouldn't be cynical anymore?
Like that I was wrong and it was actually good.
When you were wrong and you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, why do I even put so much effort into preparing to not like something?
That's a very good question. I can't remember the last time where I was actually like genuinely upset at something and just mad. I don't know. Like
I wouldn't say upset. Like here's an example for me, which I don't think it might not be the best example, but when Dread was about to be released, I was very much like, okay, well, I think you and I talked about this.
Yeah.
It's like this film has been in development for so long. There's no screenshots. There's no production stills. There's nothing. Have you seen a poster for this movie? No.
Right.
And the moment the trailer was released, we're like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
this is different. Yeah.
This is. I think we may have been waiting exactly for this.
Well, it's also because.
But I was like, I was arms folded, like, man, make it Dread. They're not gonna do it right.
Also, when we heard it was like really low budget, we're like, how are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
The trailer immediately made us change our minds because we saw something of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like no matter what trailer comes out for the next Transformers movie, I'm not gonna sit in the theater stewing about it and going, oh, this looks so terrible. I'm just gonna go,
Yeah.
hey, it ain't for me, man. If someone else likes it, good for them. But I will not be
well,
buying
that's
a ticket.
not cynicism. Transformers, there's a track record, and you're like, I didn't like the other ones.
I have
Right.
no, yeah, I have no interest in
if this one comes
And-
out
and I almost-
if this one comes out and the reviews are stellar, I may go see it.
But
Like,
is it cynicism even if it's like a person involved and not the film franchise?
But I'm gonna say like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie where
Yeah.
you hear that
There
Michael
you go.
Bay
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
connected,
yeah. That's a
and
good
you're
one.
like, fuck that.
Good example.
I actually,
I think we can link in the show notes to Doug's
yeah.
Oh my,
should.
my
Hard
video,
Truths with Doug.
or who
about
should have
Michael-
really
Which-
directed the Michael Bay Turtles?
Which, by the way, what needs to happen for me to make you do that once a month?
What do you mean? Once a month?
I want you to do that show online.
Oh,
once
I
a
need
month.
money. I need money so I can quit my job because it takes a lot of work to do that.
I would imagine. They're so good.
Thank you, but anyway, but
It's essentially what Adam ruins everything, but about media.
About media.
about fiction. Yes. And in fact, in a way that it's almost like a Stephen Colbert style satire of cynicism.
yeah, it's very tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
Your
those
critiques.
aren't my real opinions. Those are
Yeah.
fake. But whatever. We're getting off topic. But the point is like, okay, there was a trailer. I can't remember the name of the film, but it's a film that came out. I think it's like 13 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an action war movie or whatever. And I'm
It's
watching
about
it.
Benghazi, right?
Yeah. And I'm watching the trailer for it, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't look that great, but maybe there's something in here that's good. Maybe the trailer's not that great. Then it says, halfway through the trailer, then it says from director Michael Bay, and immediately I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna see it. Like, is
Yeah.
that cynicism, or is that me
Yes.
looking at his track record?
I think no, okay. Well, I don't know. It depends on your thoughts on it.
Like, I was
You're like,
on the
I'm
fence.
generally not a fan of him, or this won't be good.
I see. I don't know how I can answer that because like I was on the fence about the film.
I know exactly where I almost like the knee jerk reaction to me was fuck this shit as soon as I saw his name because I just get really angry about Michael Bay.
What about like M.
Here's-
Night Shyamalan? Like you'll see it.
No,
If you see a
same-
trailer,
same
but
deal.
But if you see a trailer and it looks legitimately good and it looks really scary, and then it says at the very end, like really fast because they're trying to bury the lead, like directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and you caught that, would you say screw that? That trailer has lied to me. The trailer has
Yes.
deceived me. Or would you say
I would
maybe
do that.
I'll tell you exactly how I felt. I felt like I'm like, wait, are they trying to hide that? like you
Right.
know, like this is not okay. This is the first M. Night Shyamalan movie that hasn't been advertised as one. Like that's just they throw it in at the end because that's what you throw in at the
Yeah.
end.
They did that with After Earth, the Will Smith movie. M. Night Shyamalan directed that. His
didn't
name is
know that.
nowhere. Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
didn't know that because they didn't advertise it. It was just Will Smith and his kid, and it's a sci-fi. Totally directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I think he helped write it too. The trailer was like, oh, if that movie gets good reviews, I'll go see it. Movie
Yeah.
comes out, it bombs. I didn't go see it, and they go, oh, by the way, it was directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Oh, well, I guess that makes sense, and that just refuels your
Yeah.
cynicism afterwards.
Well, I think an example of this I had recently of just general cynicism was American Sniper. I hear a lot of people like when it came out, it was pretty controversial because Chris Kyle is a liar or was a liar, and there's a lot of things that he just lied about, and people were upset at the movie and they're like, no, it's a piece of crap, like it's stupid, this wouldn't happen.
No.
And then I saw it and I was like, no, it's fine, it's a fine movie. I mean, it's got things that I don't like about it, but that's, I mean, so does every movie.
Yeah.
Like my favorite movie has things I don't like about it. There's a lot of hate and stuff and cynicism about it. And people are like, no, I don't want to see it because it glorifies, this, and they call
Watch
this
the movie.
Yeah, just see
it's
it.
just a
Like,
movie.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's just entertainment.
I used to be. I think a lot of cynicism.
And
too-
does it glorify America more than Rocky IV does?
I don't
What-
think
what do you-
Rocky IV glorifies America.
Rocky doesn't fight for America.
He fights
Rocky
for- he
fights
fights for
his
Apollo
friend, for
Creed.
Apollo's dead and buried.
Apollo, who is the living embodiment of America. The man wears American flag shorts when he
And
dies.
he's the bad guy
But he's
in two other movies.
But it doesn't
he's
matter.
the entertainer. There's no political statement
No.
being made.
No.
Oh, come on. The fact that, like, communism, like, they almost
No,
make the
dude, I'll
statement
tell you right now.
communism is over and they clap at the end.
No one says communism is over. The only political statement that happens at the end is Rocky says, hey, you know what? I didn't like you at first, and you didn't like me at first. But now we like each other, so maybe anybody can change.
No, Rocky
And
IV.
That's the only statement.
Rocky IV is
Watch
like
the fucking movie again.
No, I will
who's-
do this.
who
I
said-
will run this game with you.
Then
I
what?
will-
Give me one line
I'm-
of dialogue or a newspaper headline in that film that says anything about anything political.
that are Reagan-esque.
Anything political.
That's my point.
Who
It's
says
this-
communism is over?
The
I'm
point-
saying it's the imagery.
you don't.
What
you
are you talking about?
Dude, but you don't understand is that Rocky's only going over there to fight for his friend, but then like everybody tries
The
to
world
politicize-
makes it a thing. That's
the world
the
makes it a
point.
thing, but
Yeah.
it's not about that. At all. Like the point is, it's not about that.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
point of the movie.
It's about him in the ring going against the guy who killed his friend. and the world. Dude, listen to the lyrics by Survivor. They're like, two worlds collide. Is this a world fight for freedom, or is it a fight for your life? You know, it's like it goes on about how it's not about that shit.
Yeah, and Worlds Apart by Journey when he's driving his car, man.
They don't play that. They play
damn
No
it.
Easy Way Out.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
yeah.
No, really? I thought that was one of the montages.
No, it's No Easy Way Out when he's driving his car.
There's no easy way out.
Yeah. And he's
Which one
thinking
has
it.
Worlds Apart?
They don't play that in a Rocky movie.
It was in Tron 2.0.
Yeah. It's a Tron Legacy.
Here we stand. Yeah.
Do you think where do you think cynicism cynicism comes from when you are like always let down? Is it a defense?
I think it's a defense against disappointment.
Now, what makes
I think there's also like a new weirder sense of cynicism.
there is a new way.
A lot of it comes from fanboyism too. You see
Yeah.
a lot of it in fanboyism.
where it's like it's defense about getting hurt, but it's also like, oh, I'm smarter than that. Like if you can convince people, like when did it become cool to convince somebody to not like something they've already previously liked? Where it's like,
Oh, it's always been the case. Music,
I know,
music
but like,
especially.
But like, what? I don't know what it is about. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I can't. Maybe when I was younger, I'd be like, you like that? You're stupid, because I would judge somebody based on what they liked.
Right.
But now I'm like, you know what? As long as you get enjoyment out of it, that's totally cool. But
Yeah,
Now-
as long as,
well, that's
as, long
part-
as you
that's
get
part-
enjoyment of that and you don't like strangle people,
right.
you're probably okay.
Because like you know what? Let me backpedal for like an example of me being cynical. Right.
Okay, sure.
This is the last time I remember being legit cynical about something. It ended up being true, and the film was Jurassic World. It's like,
Okay,
Because I
okay.
was like,
I'm gonna go with you. I didn't immediately think of that. I was very.
and now,
not
now,
defending myself, but I actually wasn't.
Now I
was-
will say
was
this.
looking
I
forward
will
to
say
it.
this.
I didn't go see it because I was like, I'm gonna wait.
I hate saw it.
I'm gonna wait. I hope it's good.
No, here was my process. I remember hearing Jurassic World was coming out. I remember thinking, you know what? I heard the premise of it, and I go, you know what? That doesn't sound that great. But you know what? I'm gonna wait for a trailer. And legitimately, I was just like, you know, I'm not gonna get emotionally involved because I don't want to be that guy. I'm gonna wait for a trailer. The teaser came out, and I went, you know what? I didn't like the looks of that. I don't know, like, what about it? And then I sat down, I thought about it, because I want to be able to defend my point of view, because I know the whole world was lighting about how awesome everything looked. And I'm like, you know what? I figured it out. It was XYZ, and I could go into my reasons why, but this would derail the entire conversation. The point was, I had my reasons why I thought it didn't look that great. I didn't tell people they were wrong for being excited for the movie, because at the end of the day, it could be really good. Maybe it was a shitty trailer. But then the movie came out, and it got the reviews, and I heard friends of mine saw it, and they told me what they thought of it, and I went, you know what? That sounds pretty crappy. It sounds like the fears that I had about it apparently were true. I still went and saw it. I went and saw it by myself on like a Wednesday afternoon, and I'm watching it, and throughout the film, I go, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. Like, it's not as bad as I feared, but it's still pretty lame.
I remember exactly the last time that I was super cynical. I was proven wrong though. And you were in it with me on this one, was the first Avengers movie. We saw the trailer for the first Avengers, and there was no mention of the plot, and there was just explosions.
See,
and we're like, this is going to be a train
See,
wreck.
now here's the thing. You were more aggressively cynical about that
I
film
was
than
very
I was.
cynical.
My cynicism was more of like, well, you know what? It'll be big, dumb fun. Like, it'll be Tony Stark blowing shit up.
Yeah.
It won't make a lick of sense. There'll be no character arcs, but I'm still going to see
I was
it.
so glad I was wrong.
Right.
But I mean, like, I remember you had gone to see it, and you're
with
like,
my
we just
dad.
got back from the Avengers.
My dad has become the hugest Avengers fanboy,
But
out of anyone I know.
You'd just gone to see it, and I
Yeah.
texted you, and I was like, so how terrible was it? You're like, it might be super great.
And like, it might be the best Marvel film up to that point.
Yeah.
And
I was kind of ashamed that I was so down on it because I was so down on it before it came out, and then I was proven wrong because
I've never doubted another Marvel film.
it's
It's
just
just erased my cynicism from Marvel.
it's just a shitty point of view. Like there's no reason to care about something that you have no say in whatsoever, that you just get so shitty about. Like the only things that I'm still cynical about right now are politics, but only to the point where I still haven't given up hope. I think you still have
That's
to
true. You know, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's
But
like,
I'm going to defend cynicism for a moment.
by all means.
And not to say that it's good.
Cynicism is probably dumb.
But I don't think it comes from nowhere, and I don't think I haven't been partially conditioned to do it. Because I'm not even cynical about specific directors, but when a director has a moderately successful independent movie, and then they're immediately put in charge of a huge movie, I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna be good.
Well, what's your defense of cynicism though? Because
my
what,
defense,
what I'm saying is you gain nothing, you lose nothing by, by
no,
hoping.
I'm saying it's still
You're
bad.
saying that you don't hate
But
the
I'm
player,
saying-
you hate the game.
But I'm also saying that I've been conditioned so hard by some of these things where like the amount of times where I've been cynical and right and cynical and wrong, it totally makes cynicism a zero-sum game at the least.
Right.
But the times where I've been right about my cynicism is so weirdly satisfactory and reinforcing. We're like, that's my problem.
I mean, I think it probably falls in the category of Schadenfreude, right?
Yeah,
like
there's something
opposite-
about watching a huge train wreck of a thing, and you're like, I fucking called that.
But Jurassic
shit.
World is a train wreck, but it made billions of dollars.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
that's-
not a train wreck
and
to
that's-
other people.
And
like
that
how can you get? That's the thing.
No, I'm saying,
I
the
don't
only
get
thing is-
satisfaction.
but Liam doesn't care about how much money it makes.
No, I do, because then they're gonna make more movies like that, and then it becomes
But it's not your problem. Like
that is my problem because they're gonna keep making those movies, and that money.
You don't have to see them.
No, you don't have to do. You don't have to see them, but they only make a certain amount of big budget movies now.
See, now here's the thing. You're hitting on you're starting to go in a direction where I wanted to talk about because where cynicism could be, I don't want to say good, but why a critical eye is necessary.
Yeah.
Because when you
Oh, man.
because when society,
those are two different things.
I know.
No, I know.
Because when society gets shoveled garbage for entertainment like Jurassic World in terms of storyline and shit.
But also here's what I'm gonna say. Jurassic World is not garbage. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. But the amount of success it got for the amount of things that it did
Unwarranted.
disappoint me hugely.
I think here's the thing: is I think that at a certain point, now I'm still mildly cynical about some stuff, but I've started to try to break myself out of it, and the idea that I could be disappointed by a movie I didn't make,
Right.
now it's starting to seem a little silly.
That is silly.
Like for instance, Game of Thrones.
Oh, dude, could you be disappointed by a meal you didn't make yourself?
Okay, here's the thing. I've already gone to the restaurant and ordered it.
Yeah, you go to a movie theater, you buy a ticket.
The cynical guy is like, no, you know
we're
what?
not gonna go that
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. Their food probably sucks.
Yeah.
I went in going, hey, I hope this food's good.
Yeah.
Like I would rather.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I would rather be disappointed than
dismissive.
cynical. Yeah, than dismissive and cynical.
Right.
But there is value in going, oh, you know what? The past few times I've been, it hasn't
Has
been
not
good.
worked out.
So I'm gonna sit this one out. I hope you guys
Yeah.
have a great time. But that's still not cynicism. That's
Yeah.
hey, you know what?
That's a conditioned response.
That's critical eye. Like
So just so we can put a fine point on it, you're saying that cynicism, as we're defining
is
it,
unwarranted.
is
No.
judgment, is a negative judgment without having partaken or have any part of how it was made.
yeah. Well, I think so.
Like,
You know
like
what?
you're judging it prematurely.
Let's look up the definition of cynicism because that's what I'm seeing when
because
I think of
if
cynicism.
you're talking about judging something before seeing it, I have taken great efforts to try and curb that in myself.
Yes.
Since I hit like age 22 onward. And I feel like I probably still
and I mean,
I have knee-jerk reactions.
If we're going to talk about cynicism,
so
music and people.
What's the definition?
my
Okay,
two-
so it says so. Here's a few. This first one will resonate with you guys, but it's not specifically about consuming. This is an inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self-interest.
Well, films that are commercial. Yeah,
Right, but not that something's just bad.
yeah,
Right.
You know
Okay,
what
okay,
I mean?
right,
like the idea that you would interact with people and you're
Right.
like, these people are probably only out for themselves. You know,
Okay,
like
okay.
sure he tells me that, but what's he really? Like, he really just wants something for himself.
Okay.
That's cynicism.
Right.
But also an inclination to question whether something will happen or whether it is worthwhile, and it's pessimism.
Uh-huh.
So
We're talking more about pessimistic, I guess.
pessimistic cynicism, right?
Okay.
How about that? Yeah.
All right.
And then also a school of ancient Greek philosophers, the Cynics. Okay. So pessimism and cynicism, I think, really go hand in hand with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And also snobbery.
Yeah. Well, because now snobbery.
my snobbery that I incur, or at least the story I want to tell, involves tabletop gaming, and I am not the one guilty of it.
Okay. Now we've all played tabletop games
no,
together.
You're
What
not
I'm saying
secretly
with-
talking about me or him, right?
Well, then I think-
no.
Hold on,
No.
just to recap, I have DM'd for
Yes.
Liam and Doug. Doug has DM'd for me, but not Liam.
Liam's
Liam is
DM'd
DM'd
for
for
both
both
of
of
us.
us. For Doug and Josh.
my problem is one, Edition Wars, and two,
Oh, Edition Wars. That's a great example.
one the Edition Wars, but two or like every once in a while I want to start up a group and I'm like, hey, someone says they want to play. And they're like, well, have they ever played before? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, I don't want to play with them. because I'm at a different level.
Oh, fuck that. Oh, yeah.
As soon as I hear that shit, I'm like, then you fucking leave.
It's like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna drink with somebody who's a friend because
we're
they
here
don't drink very much.
We're here to play a game, not to have fun.
But, yeah,
Like, what the fuck?
that whole thing.
Jesus.
But the addition wars are the thing that kills
Like
me the most.
I'd understand if you're a tennis player trying to train for the World Cup. You're not gonna you're not gonna pick opponents that are just like easy balls.
Yeah.
This is not.
This is Saturday night at the kitchen table.
Yeah,
Like, who
This
cares?
is fucking terrible.
This is a distraction to hang out, like
Yeah.
a reason to hang out with your friends.
Now, if you say, I want to, oh, you're going to play a game, I'm going to be there. Oh, is Ted going to be there? Because he's an asshole. Yo, I did promise Ted to be there.
Because
All right,
Ted
well, I'm
gets
not
too
going to go.
drunk and he knocks shit over.
Exactly.
Fuck
That's a
Ted.
different
that's not
thing.
cynicism.
Yeah, that's not
different.
cynicism. But yeah, like, oh, they're new.
No, fuck that. Yeah.
But Edition Wars, I think, is the most caustic for me that I've experienced in my personal life because it is so divisive. I've played second edition, 3.5, 4th edition, and 5th edition. I played Pathfinder. I've done a bunch of other games. Most of them are fine. I prefer an edition, but there's so many second edition purists.
Yeah.
That-
And 3.5
And
now.
3. And really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that. I know a lot of Pathfinder dudes. Most people, if they get to 3.5, eventually they make their way to Pathfinder.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, I can't play anything else. And I'm like, and
There's-
then you
there's-
and then
there's
you
a
play with
one-
them.
Why
and
don't
then
you just treat them like different games?
Yeah,
like,
no,
why does it have
but-
to be the same thing?
But the thing for me is like, then we play a game and it takes like an hour and a half for a single combat thing. And I'm like, this sucks.
What's that 1-page game we want to play?
Motherfucking crab truckers?
It's like big motherfucking crab truckers.
yeah.
It's your big motherfucking crab. I'll try to link to that PDF in the show notes, but it's basically you're just big crabs. You drive trucks,
slightly anthropomorphized.
and the DM is like, "This is why you're doing the thing," and the DM
gotta
already
haul
has the DM always has 2 dice. You've got as many dice as the number of times you have that stat, and you've only got like 4 stats, right? So the DM always rolls 2 dice. You always roll however
Whatever
many
it is,
for that. So what happens is anytime the DM says something's going to happen and you disagree and you've got a stat that can challenge it, you say, no fucking way, and you roll your dice.
That sounds
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
We should play it on the thing.
Yeah, we should. With big motherfucking crab truckers.
But now, so if we're going to critique our own work in a minute here, right?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I want to bring it up.
Can you tell me, like, can I tell you that your outline is bad? And you go, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Because based on my values, the outline is bad in the ways that you point out.
I think you have to approach it from the version of us finding common ground about taste.
But okay,
No,
case in point. But then,
I definitely agree with that because everyone knows everyone else's strengths and weaknesses at this point.
Right.
And if someone critiques me on something I find that is weak in themselves, I will definitely take that with less value than like he's like you're like if Josh is like your plot is sloppy, I'm like, oh shit, my plot is sloppy.
I think quality is quantifiable, though.
I disagree.
If it's not quantifiable, then how can you then how can you say like a Kubrick film is this much better than this film?
You can't. I mean, you can to your taste. You can generalize where most people's tastes are, and that's it. Like, I don't think you can. I think you can say, I would completely understand if somebody hated A Clockwork Orange.
Me too.
I can understand. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I love the movie, but if somebody was like, I'm sorry, man, I just hate that movie, I'd be like, hey, man, I
get it.
I would not hold that against you, and I wouldn't even judge your taste based on that because that movie.
But
the things I like about that movie are, I mean, it won Best Picture, so it's not out of left field to enjoy the movie. I'm not unique for liking it, but
what if their opinion is pretty more unreasonable? Not, oh, that movie's not for me, or oh, I didn't enjoy it, but rather, this is the most overrated piece of shit. It's not even a movie because the story makes no sense. The camera angles are awful.
That's cynicism. That is
right.
that is-
Now that's someone else saying that.
I heard that. Okay, so I saw 300, and somebody said that movie is terrible because it's an allegory for America invading Iraq, and I'm like, you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong that the movie is terrible, but
your
there's
reasoning-
no premise. Like,
I would almost
You were
even-
there actually, but I was there.
Who was this?
It was at a vegan barbecue.
Oh my god, no! That was the one where I had to
What were you
defend-
doing at a vegan barbecue?
No, this is actually this guy. That guy is in fact. If I have to
Pick a
put,
cynic
if I have
or
to
pessimist?
pessimist. All right, this guy gave me shit for wearing a Weezer T-shirt.
Oh, that's right. That happened that same day.
And then I got in a huge fucking fight with this guy where he said no movie made before
an
1970.
argument.
Yeah.
Not a fist fight.
Oh, I wanted to punch him. He said no movie made before 1975 was worth watching.
What?
Which
See,
is
that guy
a
is just
huge-
wrong.
A
That's
huge
just
statement.
wrong.
And I was like, what about Citizen Kane?
And I don't want to be a
Or-
I don't want to be a pessimist.
So how do you
but if
defend that
but
guy?
If
Fuck that
you,
guy.
but if you saw this guy,
No,
you
my
would
God.
go, okay,
but now,
I understand.
But you're telling me
I
that
expect this from this
guy's
guy.
point of view is valid, and it's not.
No. If it's based on a premise that is nonsensical, if it comes from a place of just
Like,
pure contrarianism for its own sake,
Yeah.
you might be able to recognize it. And that you're like, this guy's coming from somewhere else. That's the guy that he's like, no, it's because he's like, hey man, you know what? You have a great day.
Yeah. And I should have said that. But he said that like Gummo was the best movie ever made. I've seen Gummo. I like Gummo.
I like Gummo.
Not the best ever made.
I like Gummo. I don't think it's the best movie ever made.
I would never say a movie.
But
I would
he
never
was
say
like,
a movie is the best movie ever made. I would say this movie is my favorite movie.
yeah, you could totally say that, and he was like, or it's interesting for these reasons. But
If
he
you
also
ask Harley
said,
Korine what his favorite movie is, I guarantee you it's made before 1975.
yeah, but
It's not Gummo.
yeah. But the craziest thing is like he was like all movies should be judged against it. It was so broad brush, and he was like, oh, you're wearing a Weezer T-shirt. I like it.
I think I think anti-intellectualism comes from people meeting these
those dudes.
pseudo-intellectuals.
The thing that becomes a problem is you need to make me think what you think.
Or
Yeah.
That's the dick move.
Unless you say something
I like
that's-
spicy things.
Unless
Spicy
you
things don't do it for me.
unless you say things that are factually incorrect, such
Right.
as this movie is intentionally based on this. And
Well,
it's
when
like,
Kubrick made this, it was about him confessing that he was part of the fake moon landing.
right,
Like,
and it's
that
like
is wrong.
that's factually
That's-
incorrect. So the lens through which you are viewing this film is warped.
It's distorted, yeah.
Now, there's a quote I want to look up here for a second. There's somebody who says something about your own work and being pessimistic about your own.
Yeah, it's I
it's
can be my
good.
own harshest critic sometimes, and sometimes if I'm not in the mood, I'll think I'm the best person
I have
ever.
never been my own harshest critic because I'm never am like.
You can't separate yourself enough.
Oh well, no. The whole thing is I can be really hard on myself, but when I'm really hard on myself, I know exactly what about it. But someone who doesn't like it and is ambivalent about why they don't like it, to me, seems the worst.
So I really wanted to bring this up because it got me thinking about it because I found out I'm not okay. I played Halo. I like Halo. I am not a big fan of the culture around Halo, and I heard they're making a Halo movie, and I'm like,
Whatever,
why
yeah.
would I mean they already have games, like why would you do that? And then I found out that Alex Garland is writing the Halo movie, and I'm like, oh, I really like Alex Garland. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I go, no, I'm not, it's going to be terrible. It's stupid of me. And like I shouldn't.
Well, it's also a lack of information. Like you didn't have the full picture.
Yeah, but no, I had made the decision in my head to prejudice myself against that
Based on a
enjoying Halo.
community that would have nothing to do with making the movie.
Exactly. And when I found out Alex Garland was writing, I was like, I have liked every single one of this man's films that I've seen. Why don't I just give things the benefit of the doubt? Always. Unless there's good reason not to. Like, we're talking about, like, physical reality. Like, hey, this guy with a gun pointed at my face isn't going to shoot me. Probably. Maybe. I don't know.
It's like
Don't give that guy the benefit of the doubt.
this food that I ordered looks a lot like a shit sandwich, and it smells a lot like it. But hey,
I'll be cautiously optimistic.
yeah, I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic.
According to Penny Arcade.
Didn't you want to pull that up for this episode? Was there
Oh yeah,
something like
I'm
that?
gonna link to a
After-
Penny Arcade
after this.
comic. But I'll read it in a second. But I wanted to get this quote from Ira Glass because I get pessimistic about my own work and whether or not I'm any good, and everybody does this if they actually care about what they're doing. And Ira Glass kind of lays it out, and if this sounds familiar to you, it sounds familiar to all of us. He says, "Nobody tells this to people who are beginners, and I really wish somebody had told this to me. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But it's like there's this gap. For the first couple of years that you're making stuff, what you're making isn't so good. It's not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not that good. But your taste, the thing that you got into this game, is still killer. And your taste is good enough that you can tell what you're making is kind of a disappointment. A lot of people never get past that phase. They quit. Everybody I know who does interesting creative work, they went through years where they had really good taste and they could tell what they were making wasn't as good as what they wanted it to be. They knew it fell short. Everybody goes through that. And if you're just starting out, or if you're still in this phase, you got to know it's normal. And the most important thing you can do is do a lot of hard work. Do a huge volume of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week or every month, you know you're going to finish one story. It is only by going through a volume of work that you're going to catch up and close that gap. And the work you're making will still be as good as your ambitions. I took longer to figure out how to do this than anyone I've ever met. It takes a while. It's going to take you a while. It's normal to take a while. You just have to fight your way through it. Ira Glass. It's one of those things. It's a great quote because sometimes I'll read something I wrote and it'll keep me. Okay, so for instance, what I wrote this week, it was hard to get through because I'm like, this isn't good. Like I'm writing this and this is, you'll get the idea. And I think you guys will read it and think that the idea is good, but the work isn't good. But that's okay. I have to keep telling myself that's okay because it's going to get better when I rewrite it.
Right.
But I have to get it down so I can change it. So I know what to do
You
differently.
need the skeleton. You need the skeleton first.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to bring up cynicism, because we're gonna critique each other's work, and we're pretty practiced at critiquing each other's work. So we're pretty easy on each other, not in the sense that we throw each other softballs or anything like that, but we know the words that really would hurt each other.
We also know what each person's trying to say and do.
Exactly.
And,
So it's not-
where they're trying to go like, hey, this is going to sound harsh, but
And we're all reviewing things that we know are works in progress. So if you're writing something and you get a note that's like, this isn't ready yet, it doesn't mean you suck. Like, it just means it's not ready yet. Like, or this isn't ready for production. This isn't publishable. That doesn't mean your idea sucks. That doesn't mean that you suck. It means that just keep going.
It doesn't mean your style sucks. Sometimes it means you have grammar errors that you need to work on with a good editor. Sometimes it means you just need another pass at it. Sometimes it means like this character doesn't work. If one thing is off, it can drag your whole story down, and then you can just clip it.
And cynicism, you can be as cynical when you're receiving feedback, which is terrible. And
dismissive of that
exactly
input.
Because what's going to happen?
I've been guilty of that.
I've been guilty of it too. Because when if I'm getting criticism by somebody whose taste I don't respect, and they give me a note that really kind of goes contrary to what I'm even setting out to do, it's a big note change. I'm going to go, yeah, well, it's not for this guy anyway. Or this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. This guy or gal doesn't know what they're talking about. There's no reason for me to think that unless I actually objectively consider the criticism. And you should, because they could be 100% right, even though you two don't agree on style. You could have a major problem.
Or you could have a major breakthrough, or you could realize something about yourself in your own style. It could be the difference in thought that leads you to the path to enlightenment.
There's good reasons for dismissing criticism after you get it, but not just because of the person. You need to. A lot of people talk about the note behind the note. Like, what is this person really saying? So
when they say this isn't funny, like, what are they really saying?
Yeah, or they're saying I don't think he would do that.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
I don't understand why he did that.
Or usually it's even something like, he wouldn't do that. Have him do this instead. The note behind that note is
reason.
This character doesn't make sense. It's not that action doesn't make sense. It's that in your head that action makes sense. Why doesn't it make sense to the reader?
You failed to communicate something
exactly
to have it make sense.
So try not to be cynical. I mean, there sometimes you get notes and you think you know where they came from, but still consider them. With that, I want to get into what we brought in this week.
Let's go.
So Liam, let's start with you.
I brought in a short story that was based on a one-word prompt.
What was the word?
Wine-colored socks. Well, not one word, but one phrase prompt. Someone was just like, he's like, I want to write something today. I don't want it to be connected to anything. But rather than a prompt of like, you have a time machine, you get to like, I find those are so kind of weird and already directional.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do is just a single image or a single color, something broad, something that you can delve into on your own. And I was just talking to someone who was like, just give me something to write about. And she was like, wine-colored socks. And then I went.
Okay. I felt like this felt really personal.
It did, yeah. I was like, is this somehow inspired by a true story? Like somehow, like loosely?
But that's the magic of it. It isn't.
Okay.
It's all in vibe and an image.
I'm glad you think it's magical, because it sucks. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I didn't say it was magic.
You said that's the magic of it.
Oh, no, I'm saying like the magic of, no, this never happened to me at all.
No, it feels like I've been there, or at least in a situation similar.
There's an emotional core to it.
Being conflicted about what to do, yeah.
Now, okay.
Or even the fantasy. The fantasy of like, oh, it's the end of the night. Things are going well.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's approach it from this direction before we start giving criticism. What don't you like about it?
One is, for me, it's just pacing, where like it gets to the end, and then that happens, and there's no lead in, because there just isn't. I didn't write it. I didn't know how to do it. And I'm also, I don't give the female lead enough anything. I mean, I think
gave her description.
Yeah, there's a description, and I don't know if it works or it doesn't work. Does it work enough to let the reader fill in who that is, or should it be more specific?
I felt so. I mean, I definitely filled in for myself.
Yeah, I filled it in based on his opinions of her.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's a clear or an honest picture, but I can see from his perspective what he thinks of her.
Did you understand that it might not be a clear and honest picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically, that it's colored. That it's
fine.
colored by the fact that
His opinion and
with his friend's
The
experience
baggage,
with
yeah.
that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also get that his opinion is somewhat validated by their interaction, but he's like,
Maybe she's putting me on.
but he's
maybe
not.
this
He's
is,
not willing to. He's not willing to admit that he kind of wants this to happen.
All right. These are all
Okay.
good. This is all working.
No, as far as the writing, I would like more. Before that, I would like.
Oh yeah, no, it gets to that part much too quickly.
Yeah, I
Because
think
I was trying to get to that.
I would
part.
like to see some awkwardness at her house, like just a longer scene where he's at her place and like considering where this will go. No, I'm not saying I'm not saying that, but some kind of I think that would help with the pacing.
I almost think trepidation on her part, or the fact that she's unsure about something, could add a whole lot.
Yeah. Like if there was more of her, because he's like,
right now
she raised the stakes.
Right
What
now
if she lowered the
villainous.
stakes?
Yeah, right now she's very villainous. And
Right.
I don't think that's fair to the person that you're trying to build.
Like if she
Right.
did something that
the idea
threw
yeah.
him.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. If you undercut that expectations, that's a much more. And it's not even like, oh, I'm not being fair to this this fake person.
Right.
But the idea if that she undercut it, she'd become a little more.
See, I don't
expressive.
know. I mean, yeah, that's cool too. I feel like it's fine if she's villainous. I think it's fine because it also says
It's all
more,
from his perspective.
It also
Yeah.
says more about him if he is giving you this picture of somebody who's villainous.
Yeah, if he's like, oh, I hate her so much, that damn bitch.
But it's
and
still
then,
but it still ends up the way it ends
Yeah.
up, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's at any point he could back out, you know, and he's already gone this far. Like they're on a date. They're on a date. Why is he even there? You know, if he really thinks this. So I think it tells you a lot about him. Now, obviously there's some grammar stuff I'd fix.
Yeah.
There's some typos and stuff, but
Duh.
I mean, I think
That's my
I think,
standard.
I think mine's got that too.
I felt that there was a little. You felt like it was rushed to get to the end,
I feel like there is this big build up,
and then it wraps up too quickly.
a solid beginning, and then a backstory. There's no minor hill before the big thing.
Now, do you feel like I don't know, I would almost like to see where the sex scene goes at the end. You know, to see where just like the direction it goes, and I would like to see what it's like afterwards.
I'm super awkward about random sex scenes.
Me too.
then maybe it gets interrupted because he just starts punching her. Like I don't know. Like honestly, dude, I was scared. I was like, for a minute, I'm just like, dude, is because like
Does he hate her?
I got caught
I
up.
I never felt that, but
See,
that's interesting.
I got caught up in the end of I didn't expect him to throw the first punch. I expect what I thought was going to happen. You're gonna have to help me out a little bit because I did, to be honest, I did read it a little fast.
It's a terrible metaphor that didn't work.
But it's like
that is confusing.
Was it she hurt a friend of his? Was it like they were fighting, like physically?
No,
like
no, just
no.
An
It
emotional.
broke his heart.
Yeah.
Okay, because like I was a little confused on that. For a second, I thought maybe
Oh,
they
actually,
were all
wait.
like,
No, that part is totally real, but
Yeah.
the later part is not.
okay, because I thought that maybe it was because what
I pictured a specific person, and I pictured Liam as well.
I didn't picture Liam. I pictured this woman and this man. They have a history because they trained at the same dojo. and I like your because he said,
dude,
when he
I already like your version
Let
better.
me tell you, because he said that she hurt my friend. I'm like, wait, because like, and the metaphor, like we'd fight back to back, and this I'm like, wait a minute, like literally fighting, like what happened here? I thought
Doug,
that
your version sounds great.
no, dude, let me tell you, because I'm telling you that I realized I was wrong, but when going into
That might be
it,
a way more interesting story.
dude, going into it, I'm gonna tell you what the perception was going into it was that he was like, oh, we have a history because we would always go to the same, we would, like training to fight or something, and me and my friend, she like broke his leg or did something really bad and hurt him really bad, and this is my chance to get revenge. This is like a decade later. It's like my chance
Holy
to finally get
shit.
revenge on her because she was whatever, and now oh my gosh, she's coming on to me. She was always kind of hot. Maybe there's something actually happening, and then thought that maybe like at the end it's like, wait, but is she really coming on to me, or is she just that much of a bitch and holds that much of a grudge that she's gonna try to hurt me physically, like before the night is over, and like lure me into a thing and like stab me or some crazy sociopath
I
thing.
like that immensely.
Yeah, I think.
And
that's,
then the twist
I think Doug,
was,
you should write that.
And then I thought the twist
I
was
want
that
to write that. Fuck that.
All right, Doug, Liam,
well,
you write it.
I thought that the twist on the end was that, oh no, they actually are like that was all blown out of proportion. It was just them doing whatever, and she really did like him, and then they go and they have sex afterwards. His weight that he was carrying with him was all bullshit, and that it was never that to begin with.
That sounds great.
But then when I got to the end, I was like, oh, there was no fucking fighting. Like, what am I talking about? You know, like,
No, it's just a violent metaphor.
Right, but I took the violent metaphor to be a thinly veiled metaphor and not a flat out metaphor, like a complete metaphor.
So, Liam, I like it.
I like it too.
I like Doug's version.
I like both
a little
versions.
better. I think I do want to see more of the Mad Hatter, man. And I tell you,
I feel so burnt out on that.
I want to
currently.
see an outline. I want to see you try to do some world building with an outline, because I think just going through the motions, you'll go, oh, and you'll start playing around with the structure, and it'll get better, and you'll know where it comes in and out. What do you think?
Yeah, if you have, I would like to see an outline for the Mad Hatter to see where you would want to take it, because it's just like it has an interesting setup. But
like, think of the worlds they're gonna go to. Look at them, put them in an order, and you'll like. Tell me the knights, like what their strengths are, and that'll tell you what their weakness will be. Like
it's a little weird.
Go through the motions.
It's a little weird to be agreeing that much with Josh, because we're literally on this side of the table and you're by yourself on that side of the table, and we're like, do an outline. You're like, I don't really think on an outline. Like, do a fucking outline.
Usually,
I want to read your outline.
Usually, it's an X where me and Max could be like, no.
right. But I can only talk about outlines helping me. So
yeah. Well, the whole thing is, I really think for Max's Uber killer, based on the complexity of that plot.
Uber shooter. Is
the Uber. Oh man, it should be called the Uber shooter. That totally needs an outline, because it's not
whatever process got him to write that, he needs to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good outline works for him or not.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a solid idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, could we see an outline anytime soon? I would love for.
I don't know if I get it done in a week, but
even just part of one. Because remember, I turned in like a half-finished outline, and it's like, what do you guys think so far? Yeah. And then you gave me some ideas, and then I changed those parts and then added more. I would love to see an outline, because that gives us ways to workshop bigger ideas.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about yours now?
Yeah. Well, I guess.
Well, I'll as a bridge to that, I'll just say, full disclosure, I did zero work on my idea.
Yeah, like Doug did not turn anything in.
I had nothing. I had no, because most of the time that I get to work on my outline and eventually screenplay is downtime at work. And this past week there was no downtime at work, and I'm terribly sorry, but I will try to get the completed outline next time. I'm going to try to pull in after hours or do whatever I need to do. But I'm still excited for it, and I'm excited to actually get to the damn screenplay. So
yeah, man, I want to start reading some
pages
screenplay.
Yeah, we got yours, and you had a second chapter.
Well, it's not complete. Yeah, it's I got like the first half of the second chapter,
as opposed to like a revised first.
Right,
chapter.
And this is a vomit draft. Just people reading this, like I put it on the cover because I want you guys to realize that I'm still like feeling out the style of this thing, and like where it's like what amount of the inside of Malcolm's head you're going to get, and what internal dialogue is going to persist throughout the book. So that's I guess that's my preamble before, to excuse some of the criticism I'm probably about to get. So I would love to hear what you guys think.
I enjoyed the shit out of it, and within this first chapter is the moment where I'm like, Malcolm, I like him. He's my guy.
Now, is it because of the way he thinks?
Being in his head and being like, gotta be aliens, man. Gotta be aliens. As soon as he's like, gotta be aliens, this moon isn't right, I'm in a totally different place. He's weak, but he's just trudging ahead, even without a plan. I immediately, relate to him, even in the smallest way. Any moment of weakness you've ever felt in your entire life, you can glom onto that and feel for him.
You didn't feel like it was ham-fisted? I'm struggling a lot with how much of his weakness to throw in, because I know I would be fucking terrified.
The amount of weakness
he's an 11-year-old boy.
He's 12. He's 12.
Okay.
He's 12.
He's a 12-year-old boy in a completely foreign place, trudging along, being a trooper, going farther than I probably would.
I'd get scared walking home on my street.
Yeah, likewise. I don't.
And the whole thing is, like, the fact you push the idea that he's scared. No, man, he is that scared. It feels right. It feels fine. And I'm really, really enjoying Malcolm as a person now. And my big problem with the first chapter is, like, I don't feel like Malcolm should be the main character. I feel like Jimmy should be the main character. And then you get here, nope, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense that he's the main character. You probably don't even have to work on the first chapter as much, as long as you, like, if you keep this up, him being afraid and kind of the idea that you push it so hard now, you can lessen it and show growth. Hammer it into the goddamn ground.
My worry is that because I remember one of the critiques of the outline was that Malcolm feels like he's not that much of an active character because things happen to him a lot. Like, so something brought him here. And then, so I'm like, well, I kind of want to, in this chapter, it's him just kind of showing you how he thinks and him making decisions, even though it's just like out of complete bewilderment.
Yeah. Well, I think one good thing that you touched on that I think needs to be driven home a bit more, because you bring up the point of an active character,
Sure.
and too many things are happening to him. When we get into his headspace where he's like, okay, aliens did this. Like, first of all, that's fun and cool, and that gives me it adds some color to like who he is and like how he thinks. But to make him active, it's like, okay, I'm thirsty, I need to find some water, and like his goal is simple as I need to find some water, or I need to maybe, you know what, I was wrong about the moon. There's no way. I must just be mistaken. I'm going to find a town nearby. I'm going to climb a mountain and find a town. Like, these little things, those are enough of making him active.
Okay.
I mean, that, just the simplest little goal where he admits that he doesn't know what he's doing.
Or even being reactive. Something acts upon him.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, now
he hears a noise, and he freezes, and he waits, and it's
he's
like he's trying to determine what's
now
going on.
I have to change my shit.
Yeah.
But even in a reactiveness, even if the universe is crouching upon him, the fact that he is changing even in subtle ways feels good to be a part of him.
Okay.
I want more of his internal dialogue, and I want it
because also that feels like that's where the humor would
well,
be.
and not even just
Sure.
for humor, but to really, because like one thing here, let me get to the, I mean, granted, vomit draft, but like the one thing that bugged me, he rolled onto his side with a mixture of dread and relief. He succumbed to despair. Now, I'd rather hear from Malcolm's perspective
Show,
what that
not tell,
is.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, that is showing. You're showing me that he rolled onto his side with a mixture of dread. I could see the emotion on his face, and he succumbs to the despair. I can see that. But what I want to do is feel how he felt it. And like, if you just describe it from his point of, I don't want to. You don't have to literally have his thought.
Well,
or even if it's like, he's like, Malcolm only felt like this one other time before in his life, when he was 6 years old and he jumped off the top of a swing set and fell.
Even that,
Or
I
even
would.
just
That's a good example. That's a good touchstone to
just
like something
any,
back.
any moment, or just like his own experience through his own words.
But from his, if you were to ask him later, like the next day, or just if you could interview him, be like, Malcolm, in this moment where you wrote in your memoir here, that you succumbed to despair, how? But as a kid, like if you could ask him, what did that feel like? He wouldn't say, I succumbed to despair.
Right,
He would be like,
it's-
well, he's like, I
it's
cried myself to sleep. You know,
like all the blood drained out of me, and I felt like I couldn't stand.
Yeah, just like it's like I was shivering. I couldn't stand, and I was just so scared. I couldn't even cry myself to sleep. Next thing I know, I'm waking up. That to me hits me harder because
Yeah, it's punchier.
I'm feeling his emotion more direct instead of being told what his emotion is.
No, one of the things I haven't done yet that I'm kind of toying with is doing the italicized internal dialogue, where he's like, "What's this? No, it's not that." You know, like that kind of thing, where, or like, "Oh, I wish Jimmy was here," that kind of thing, but doing it in italics so you know it's internal.
Yeah.
That he's not speaking aloud. Because I haven't. Does he speak aloud in this one? Man,
He speaks aloud, yeah. That's I liked all that. That was fun.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you're scared and you're freaking out and you're on a weird alien planet where the moon's different and you're like, okay, get it together, man, get it together. You know,
Right.
like talking out loud seems reasonable.
Do you feel worried for him at all,
Well,
or does he feel like really tough? Because I feel like maybe he should be a little weaker.
he doesn't feel.
he doesn't
tough.
feel tough.
I'm not worried because it's only chapter 2.
Right.
It's like of a book where I got the rest of the book to go through.
But also, I'm not worried. There's a lack of worry because the world is just familiar enough to be like, all you got to do is find food and water and shelter,
Right.
which is huge. But it's not there are xenomorphs on the planet. There's not acid pools around you.
I guess the threat of imminent death
Is not there.
Is not
it's
there.
It's long term.
It's more of like
Yeah.
he's gonna die in maybe 2 days if he doesn't, get
Right.
shit sorted out. Which is still a big deal and frightening for a kid of that age.
I feel like I need to read Hatchet because I
Have you never read Hatchet?
no, my significant other just brought it home. She's a school teacher. I've never read it, but it sounds like that's the whole book.
Yeah, no, it is. And that book is great because, again, you also are never super worried in Hatchet, but not because the kid is, because the kid is a little tougher
Right.
than maybe you should be, but that's fine. It's everything is thought out, and every way that he adapts to survive is a conversation in his head. And he's like, all right, so these birds exist this way. How do I figure out how to kill them?
Right.
And he's like, I got a thing. I figured out a thing. Don't look for shape, look for color, or don't look for like everything.
Right.
Everything is there's a problem, a thought process that solves that problem.
It sounds like Jack London. You know, like it sounds like one of those.
Oh,
books.
it's very much that. And then there's a set of situations in which he figures a thing out, and then suddenly he can do the thing, and he eats a bird. But the whole thing is, my favorite thing about that book is every time he eats a bird or succeeds in whatever he does, there's a weird moment of triumph that you share with that character. We're like human beings, awesome for this reason.
It sounds like I need to do that because that will be one of the things that becomes important to Malcolm.
I will say
to read this book.
Malcolm talks about some of his worries of like, what's going to happen if I don't do this or whatever. I would even take it like I wanted a little bit more of worries from his perspective. You clearly talk about physically how he's dehydrated,
and
how the injuries that are happening to him and how much it hurts.
But when he talks about his mom,
that's
drive
thing.
it home a little more.
Hits a little harder than actually his physical thing.
Something that I think would be interesting. You can tell me if Malcolm wouldn't think this, but like where he talks about like, I can't. What is the exact line he says? Like it's he worries about like what he'd have to do something like
he can't eat people.
Yeah, like like he's worried about like having to hurt other people, which is important for later on in the story. But like I almost expected him to say something like in his own head if he had a fear of like, okay, if I have to find my own food out here, I'm gonna have to get like meat or something, and like the fear of what if I had to kill, like what if the only food around was a dog? Could I kill a dog? Could I eat a dog? Like
That's a good idea.
Like that kind of fear of like, because when you legitimately are as a child by yourself alone in the woods, never had to kill an animal in your life.
Maybe go into like one of the things one of the things that's in the outline that I want to get to in this chapter and stuff is like he's walking along the river and he's like, maybe I could fish. Are there fish in this river? My mom dated a guy once, and he tried to take me fishing.
That kind of thing, yeah.
And he's like, but I don't like. How would I fish? I don't have anything. Like,
yeah.
I don't have.
And he's like, what if I caught it with my hands? Well, then how would I kill it? Would I have to hit it? I don't want. Could I do that? That sounds mean.
And then
like
he's like, what do people hunt in the woods? Like rabbits? Like people? I know people eat rabbit. Could I kill a rabbit?
Like that doubt and fear of like the doubt of I don't think I could do that, and then the fear of, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Could I feed these berries to a rabbit? And if it died,
would it be safe to eat?
Or if it died, would I be okay with that? Or like,
the kind of,
could I feed what I think are poison berries to something and be like, well, this is fine.
The life or death choices that he doesn't know if he can make, and that's what scares him.
So he's like he's already approaching these situations in his head.
Yeah.
Just like the idea where he's like, well, if they're cannibals, and if I had to steal bits of what they eat, I don't think I could eat a person. Like, that's what's in there right now.
That should be the last.
The last thing. Yeah,
I agree. You guys have got me good ones
but
here.
Yeah, but I like the idea where like he's not worried about surviving based on his physical capabilities, because people can do that.
And his goal
people
could be,
can survive. That's a big enough trope. The idea that you make of like, am I capable of doing the terrible things that you need to do to survive?
And then when he says no, then he goes, okay.
Then you like them.
I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to die, but I don't want to die. So my goal now isn't survive, it's get found. And now if I need to get found, but wait a minute, what if the people who find me are cannibals? What if they eat people? What if, then you can go into that.
What if they eat me? And what if they eat me? What if they make me eat someone else? I'd rather be eaten.
Yeah, recognizing
even that line, like I'd rather be eaten, would be really great.
Him coming to the realization of how ill-equipped he is makes me more scared for him, as opposed to me seeing him stumble, fall, and not really know what to do with the creek and stuff.
Right.
So it's like having the fear of him realizing, oh man,
yeah, because I'm not going to be terrified for him until he breaks.
Because you have him like when he wakes up in the dream and he's like reaching for the thing. It's like, okay, he's not afraid to do this or whatever because he's kind of in control of the situation, even though he's whatever. But when he's on this planet, that he's seeing the moon and he's seeing the trees, everything looks weird and different, and then he's trying to shake. He goes, okay, I got to stay focused. How do I survive? I got to get food. I got to get water.
Okay, so the style of writing changes about halfway through to being that kind of style. And I think I could probably have introduced that style in chapter 1 now and have it continue that way. My issue
We're even almost dealing with the bullies could be
right
mechanical in his thinking.
Right. So my worry is that later on, there's not going to be a lot of time for that. not in the sense that like time for me to write it. He's going to be in a lot of decisions where thinking is taking too much time.
But
that,
if you,
Does it change stylistically?
The whole thing is,
I'm interested to find out.
If after a training situation, I no longer think.
Yeah.
but also if you have enough of us understanding his logical thought process leading up to that, when it gets into the fight, I don't have to imagine how he fights. I don't have, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I don't have.
Well,
I can
here's
picture how
the
he does
problem
it.
too. Is I'm worried about this stuff before I even get to it. I need to just write it. I need to just write it and feel it out. And if it gets to the point where you're like, it changes too much style here, I need to fix that then. Not now.
Yeah.
That's not.
But
not
I
now.
feel like even if when you get to the like physical fighting, you don't want to get into his headspace that much. I think we'll be with the character long enough that we will know how he thinks.
Or even afterwards, you'd be like, I didn't even think during that.
Yeah,
That
or just
whole-
afterwards, he's like, "Whoa!"
He's like, I
that
didn't
Yeah.
think. I just acted, and that would even play into you've talked about him possibly killing someone. Where like he's like, I didn't even think about it.
right.
It's just like, is this what
I-
it's?
That's how that could have happened.
I was like, I am changed. I didn't even.
Is this what it's like to be good at this? Like that,
Yeah.
like those kinds of questions come up.
And then that's the form of narration and style. As long as it flows with your characterization, you're gonna be fine.
Now, you mentioned that you're not really worried about him until he breaks a limb. How? I toyed with the idea
Don't.
of him getting to the bottom of there and breaking his arm.
No,
Why not?
because I don't want to worry about him physically. I don't want a long, drawn out healing time, and I want the fear to be a child's fear.
Okay.
Yeah,
here was my thought.
I don't want him. I want him to worry about being eaten. You're doing a
being
good job there,
alone.
and being
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
Yeah, but the things that really resonate are not like it's not am I gonna survive because I have a broken arm. That's terrifying.
Yeah, I like
But
the-
then the
yeah.
whole thing is then that's the story.
Right. Him
Then
surviving
that's
with a
the
broken arm.
huge
Yeah.
thing.
I agree that it needs to be him of, am I going to survive knowing nothing
Yeah.
about how to survive? But as soon as a broken arm or broken leg comes into play, it's,
I have to now be the
yeah.
most savage motherfucker
Yeah.
around.
Well, no, my idea was that he would break his arm and is like, that's it. I'm not going to make it. I don't know what to do. And then he gets captured. And then they like realize his arm's broken because it's obvious. And they splint it. And they're like, okay, now what? And then he like, while he's like learning the things and being questioned, he has a broken arm and he's healing. And then, because here's
I mean,
something.
that could work.
The broken arm can be good to tell you how much time has gone by.
Right.
I would almost say don't
don't
put
know.
that in your first draft though.
Because here's one of my.
I would say, if anything, maybe only have him get a broken arm if he's running away from them. Like if he sees them, they're trying to bag him. He tries to get away, breaks his arm in the process. That's why they capture him.
Right.
Then they pull him away.
And then they stitch him. They put the thing back
Yeah.
on him. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
they're not going to eat me.
yeah.
Because
they
that wouldn't
just-
make any
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that I like. If it happens while getting captured, it could even be like, oh, well, even if he broke his arm and maybe he still could have gotten away, maybe he would have made it. But if he breaks his arm while getting caught,
And he's like,
that's
fuck it.
That's the excuse of how he got caught.
Because here's an idea I had. One of the reasons that Malcolm has a hard time with this, the teaching that Kilvin is doing, is he doesn't have a tail. And he doesn't have something to counterbalance him. So he can't stand in the same stance. He can't do the same maneuvers. And if his arm's broken and in a splint that whole time, when it finally gets removed, they give him a second sword, and that
That can work.
that becomes his tail, and he can switch.
Yes.
And that
But the whole thing
becomes
is-
like his unique advantage.
Then and one that does a lot of things narratively, but don't do the broken arm just to put fear, because is fear the goal of this chapter?
No. I think the goal of this chapter is to get you to know what Malcolm is like in a crisis.
Then
That's a
then
crisis.
then you were doing a very good job of that.
you already have a crisis without the broken arm.
Yeah.
Adding the
However,
broken arm
if you
doesn't-
do
yeah.
it for that other
Right.
plot reasons, yes.
Okay.
But
I may do
don't
that.
don't just do it to raise the stakes, because it feels like you're raising your stakes into another situation.
I kind of want to talk about what it's like breaking a limb, though, because it was very
Then-
different.
then I would say do
it was
that.
very different from what I expected it to be when I broke my arm.
And I think that's good to have in this story, but save it for when he's about to be captured, as opposed to, how am I ever going to survive by myself with a broken arm? Which there is something to that, but you already have such an interesting viewpoint minus a broken arm that
Right.
if the broken arm happens maybe while he's like struggling and he's trying to fight, to me that's a little more interesting as opposed to, well, I recognize the fact that I have a broken arm. He may not even know he's got a broken arm until after he's thrown into the thing.
If I made it like mine, there's no way he wouldn't know.
Well, then fine. Then dude, you know what? Do whatever. Like
no, but
like,
you're giving me good feedback. Yeah. So this is all speculative.
Maybe I only said that because I didn't know I broke my elbow until I got an X-ray.
My arm was called a gooseneck fracture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you know what a goose's neck looks like?
That was your arm.
That was my arm. So, and it was a very different experience than what I thought it would be.
Same thing happened to Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
And he was playing Quidditch.
Huh. He had a gooseneck fracture.
It was a balloon. It was freaking flopping all over.
Oh, mine wasn't like that.
Yeah. Well, they took the bone out of his arm.
Yeah,
magically.
an asshole took the bone out.
He fell, broke his arm, and then they took the bone out of his arm with magic, and it was like bloop, bloop, bloop,
Yeah.
bloop. Yeah, it was awful.
And then they take him to the
hospital,
the hospital, the
infirmary.
medic, and she's like, fixing a broken arm is totally fucking easy. Regrowing bones is a pain in the fucking ass. Who did this to you? And he says it, and he's like, fuck that guy, he's a fucking idiot. It's amazing.
Wow, that's a lot of curse words for a children.
Oh, it's great. No, she curses all the time. Madam is the best.
Harry Potter's better when you drink.
Everything is better when you drink, except for driving, kids.
Yeah. So, thank you guys.
Yeah, more. Give me more.
Okay.
And in fact, this solved two of my main problems from the previous chapter.
Okay.
One, I hope maybe you were listening to me, or even
Yeah,
if you
of
weren't,
course.
then it's the natural progression
Well,
of the
you
story.
said you need inside of his head more, and I'm like, well, here's a chapter without very much dialogue.
So here's
Good opportunity.
Here's inside of Malcolm, and the whole thing is, I feel like, but the first chapter, I don't really know who Malcolm is. I have a vague idea.
Much better
now.
idea, yeah.
Even the whole thing is still vague. It's still a second chapter. I don't need to exactly know who he is, but I know a couple of key things about him and the way that he thinks. That even if I don't believe he's correct, I get.
Yeah.
I get how he goes from
Yeah.
A to B, and I like it.
Well, thank you guys. Well, now we're going to move on to the bad story trailers part of the podcast.
Yes, we are.
So each week we roll our 2 10-sided dice 3 times, find 3 story genres off of a spreadsheet, and try to come up with a movie. Using some of them, we're really using them just for inspiration. And then we record the trailer, and you get to hear it. So, Liam, you roll the dice first.
All right, let's do this. 88 miles per hour.
Biopunk.
What?
A story that is about genetics and biological research, often falling under the horror category. It often focuses on
Cronenberg?
Sometimes. It often focuses on the harmful effects characters have created when they change an animal's code to unintentionally create a violent monster. Yeah, so like The Fly.
That movie Splice or whatever, what was it?
Biopunk, yes. Biopunk fiction
Deep Blue Sea.
typically describes the struggles of individuals or groups, often the product of human experimentation, against the backdrop of totalitarian governments or mega corporations, which misuse biotechnologies as means of social control or profiteering. So it also includes Resident Evil.
Anarchists, werewolves.
That was way specific.
I didn't know. The whole thing
This
is
is often does this, often does this.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is also I'm excited about today because this is a new punk that I didn't know existed. The last one that I discovered was Diesel Punk, and I got really excited.
Yeah. World War One.
It's airplanes. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So Doug is rolling next.
39.
39.
I'm liking these numbers.
Magical Girl.
Oh, no.
These go together. They go together so far.
Oh my god.
Popular in Japan, of girls who use magic in either their training, idol, stardom, or even to fight evil. So like Madoka, you know.
Sailor Moon.
Exactly. Panty and stocking.
Card Captor Sakura.
Yes. Okay. And I'll roll the third one. What do we got? 94. All right. 94 is urban. The tone for urban fiction is usually dark, focusing on the underside, profanity of all George Carlin's 7 dirty words and urban variations thereof. Sex and violence are usually explicit, with the writer not shying away from watering down the material. In this respect, urban fiction series share common threads with dystopian or survivalist fiction. So
we need a magical girl.
we need
who's a product of
grimdark.
That's a product of bioengineering.
Yeah.
That actually isn't
or
unbelievable.
that fights against bioengineering.
Ooh, okay.
Huh? Because it's
All right.
evil.
So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, only they're monsters instead of demons.
Yeah. So it's like Sailor Moon, except the bad guy isn't Queen Beryl. It's a mad scientist who creates biological monsters.
All right.
in an urban environment.
In an urban environment, so it's grimdark. Like,
but what's the twist? What's the meat? What's the hook?
I kind of like. What if she's like the hard-boiled PI, Magical Girl Services Incorporated?
All right. We're like, she's been at this a while.
Yeah.
She's like, I've seen all kinds of shit.
And they're like, oh, can you hire a magical girl to solve my problem? My husband, he's gone missing. I fear it's this thing. And it's like he's been used for biological research. And she's like, sure, I will call.
Did we just make Jessica Jones?
No.
No.
I mean, you mean superpowered PI?
Yeah.
But I mean, how many of those are there?
Right,
Been a
but that's
couple.
like,
in fact, the Spider.
Yeah.
Who was like one of the first pulp novels.
So,
He's a magical.
he wasn't
PI guy.
superpowered though.
Yeah, he was.
He didn't have magic.
Yeah, he had almost magic.
He was like Batman.
No, he was a master of disguise. He did a bunch of stuff, and he had a potion that made him super strong.
Yeah.
So she's like, can you call one of your magical girlfriends? She's like, sure. And she has a transformation sequence, and she becomes a magical girl with some kind of weapon. What's her weapon? Because they always have like some wand.
A scythe.
A scythe? That's too. There's a lot of magical girls that are already death.
All right.
I think bow staff.
She hits him with a stick.
A sledgehammer.
Because bow staff is cool because you can
A
twirl that.
warhammer.
A guitar.
Ooh, that's FLCL.
That's the thing. It's almost like Lollipop Chainsaw as well, except Lollipop Chainsaw she wasn't a magical girl.
That's FLCL though.
Yeah, but not as a PI.
That's true.
I'm just looking around here. Drum set.
A lava lamp.
What if? Okay, what's a strange thing to? What
To
if
be
it's
a
the,
weapon.
the fuzzy dice on car mirror? It has to be something dumb. That's a magical.
Yeah,
girl's
but
work.
that's too dumb.
Like the one girl had
That's
a rocket
two
powered
steps
hammer.
too dumb. That's fucking awesome.
Drill. That's too.
Phallic.
No, I was gonna say it's
Gurren
too much-
Lagann?
Yeah, Gurren Lagann.
What about if it's rosary? She has mace rosary.
This is Catholic magical girl.
Yeah.
Like,
She's a nun.
The nuns.
Super nun.
That is
Super nun.
Nuns are pretty magical girl. They're ready. I think they're pretty ready for a magical
they're
girl.
ripe.
She's the only magical girl who adds more clothes when she's transformed.
That's like that. Plus, also that solves your urban problem, like
Yeah,
in the urban
she's an
city or
urban
whatever.
nun.
Yeah, they're like-
it's like they go to the church and they're just like, we need to speak to
Sister.
yeah, sister so-and-so.
O'Flanagan.
Yeah.
to Sister Kick-Ass.
It's like, hold on, just
In fact, the name of the movie is Sister Kick-Ass. There we go.
she does her spin and she gets, what does she get? She gets the, what's the thing that
She gets the full habit.
yeah, but
right?
what's her weapon is that long stick with the crucifix on it that they carry when they go.
Do nuns carry that? I thought only
No,
priests
I don't
carry
mean
it.
nuns, but like the priest
the
carried
altar
it.
boys
Yeah,
carry it in front of the priest.
Yeah, what is that thing?
It's a big crucifix.
Yeah,
I
but
almost think I want to say it's the standard. It's just called the
It
standard.
is a standard. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that can be that extends. That can be a
I don't know what
weapon.
the actual
Oh,
name
like
of it
Son
is.
Goku? Like it's an extended pole.
Yeah, and either that or like the rosary beads that you would tie around your waist. That can be like a whip sort of thing or whatever.
What about?
The flagellant.
Did you say the flatulent?
No, the flagellant.
Okay, it's a flatulent nun.
Self-flagellation.
Yeah. Do nuns do that?
Holy water, that's a weapon.
Catholics do that.
I don't. I didn't when I grew up Catholic.
You weren't a good Catholic.
No, I was not. I was not a good Catholic.
I masturbated a lot, and that's a no-no.
I think we were all raised Catholic at this table.
and we all
Yeah,
masturbate
yeah.
way too much.
I think just enough. In fact, a little too less.
Or you'd say
I could do
you'd
with
say I
more.
masturbate enough to keep going forward.
Enough to be a bad Catholic.
I masturbate for maintenance.
Okay, what about? I'm trying to think of what a nun's effects are because I'm picturing Meryl Streep in Doubt as just like
Yeah.
as like
Nah,
just
you
I'll go
gotta-
solve the problem.
No, dude, like this is
A ruler.
instead of
just a really big
a ruler. That's
really
it.
really
I would
big
do.
ruler.
I was gonna
Oh
say
my God.
Blues Brothers because Blues Brothers they're like the magical boys of a Catholic school,
Right.
And so the magical girls and the nun floats in that goddamn movie and like has telekinesis to shut and open doors. So the ruler is spot on.
That totally works.
Yeah, a yardstick.
Yeah.
Even
Yardstick.
take it up a notch.
I'll rasp your knuckles.
Yeah. So okay, so we have a magical girl nun. I think boys and girls are being taken from the Catholic school to be turned into bioengineered monsters. Mm-hmm. And she is going out into a just horrible future urban environment as a nun to smite them with her giant ruler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Done.
don't think she needs to be the headmistress.
No.
She's like the new one. No one knows her secret. is that she
fucking
moonlights.
magical as shit.
Yeah. She's sister so-and-so, the new sister. The headmistress found out.
Who slays the dragon? Who's the saint who slays the dragon?
That is Saint...
Gregory?
No.
Is it's not headmistress, it's Mother Superior? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't let Mother Superior find out, but she hopes that she'll notice her.
George?
Yeah. So Sister George?
That sounds really strange.
Yeah.
It sounds like Boy George's sister.
I want the young, handsome priest
No.
in there that she hopes notices her.
Senpai?
Yes, that is
God
senpai.
damn it.
You gotta have, and not even like in a romance way, but just like I just hope he notices I'm doing a good job. And then I'm
Yeah,
doing
it's
it
like,
all.
I worked so hard lighting these candles.
Yeah.
It's like Senpai, great work, Sister of Lanahan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very beautiful. You seem like you're doing a very good job.
really brought out the light of Christ.
This is great. I love it where this is going.
All right. I think Mother Superior would be a great name
Oh
for
my
this movie.
God.
Yeah. What Mother Superior or Sister Superior?
No,
think
Mother Superior.
Mother Superior, and then just like you can imagine the poster right now.
Yeah.
With this giant glowing yardstick. It looked like The Force Awakens, but a nun with a yardstick.
Yeah. No, that's it.
All
That's
right,
the movie.
Mother Superior?
That's the movie.
Mother
That's it.
Superior.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
What brings you to confession this day, my child?
I did not observe curfew last night,
Go on.
and when I was out, I encountered the foulest of the adversary's retinue.
It is too late to save the child. I will eat his soul.
And how did you respond to this test?
I relied upon the strength of the Lord and introduced him to Saint George.
Saint George?
My blessed yardstick, of course.
I'll get you yet, Mother Superior.
Ah. Well, say the Lord's Prayer 8 times and 4 Hail Marys.
Yes, Father.
Go in peace, my child.
Thank you, Father.
And, sister,
Yes, Father?
there have been rumors of more devilry. I expect you to sin again this evening.
I live to serve the Lord.
Thank you all for joining us for this episode of Bad Storytellers. I'd like to thank my writing group, Doug Banks, Liam Malone, and Max Wessel, even though he wasn't here today. All of our writing that we discussed can be found on our website, badstorytellers.com, along with the show notes. And for any questions, suggestions, or cynical critiques of our work, please contact us at badstorytellers@gmail.com. Also, if you dig the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us gain visibility among other writing podcasts. I am Josh LaForge, and I'd like to invite you to join us again next week on Bad Storytellers.